In this video, let's pay attention to payoffs of those common derivative securities like forward, futures contract, and options contract. Now, what is a derivative? By definition, a derivative is an instrument whose value depends on the values of other more basic underlying variables. So a derivative, its value is based on some underlying variables. It depends on what the underlying variable is. If the underlying variable is stock price, then you have stock option. If underlying variable is a bond price, you have bond options, or the interest futures forward. Obviously, the foreign currency exchange rate can also be the underlying assets, variables in this case. So we have futures, forwards, and options riding on that. Its value depends on the future spot rate, for example, exchange rate. Now, in a derivative securities, there always involve two parties trade with each other. Now, those we use a word we use long or short instead of a buy and a sell, because the nature of those transactions, you sign a contract now, but there's no cash change in hand. Everything settled down at the maturity of that contract. For example, it is a forward contract. You sign that forward contract with your bank. In 30 days, I'm going to buy a certain amount of British pound from you for a certain price. Now, this is the contract, right? So when you sign today, you have a contract, but you haven't paid yet. You haven't received a British pound yet. 30 days later, you at the maturity solve it. Therefore, rather is really a purchasing, buy or sell, you take a position. Now we're using long position represents the right to buy, short represent the right to sell. Sometimes long and short used as a verb. Instead of using buy and sell, we say long or take a long position. The payment for example, in forward contract usually take deliveries. The transaction party will complete the transaction. On the other hand, futures contract, which are commonly traded on Chicago Mercantile Exchange, for example, on exchange, organized exchange floor, you only put a down payment, we call it margin. People do not using the full amount. Using margin, then you basically put certain money down. So every day, your margin account will be adjusted. The margin can be, let's say, 5% of the total amount. So when the market go up against you, the value of the contract go down, then your margin will be adjusted. So in future trading, there's a word called marking to the market at the end of the day. So you basically incur certain cash flow on your account for the whole period. In forward contract, you don't have that position, right? For this class, we treat as if futures and a forward are the same, although in real life they are not. Okay, so the payoff can be slightly different, but usually involve a time horizon, and usually with the word we're using, maturity date. The contract maturity can be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 180, right? It depends on what contract underlying variable is. You have stock option, stock index futures, for example, S&P 500 index futures. You have bond option or futures on interest rate, right? Obviously, foreign currency we already discussed in excuse me in this book. We also have commodity price. People trade on pork bellies, oil futures, right, etc. The derivative security can be right on a lot of things. For example, insurance policy typical is derivative securities, like earthquake insurance. Now, for those who are not familiar with, you need to concentrate at the current stage on the payoff of those contracts. Okay, we're using those payoff contracts to help you understand why you purchased that and what is the result of you taking that position. Now let's look at talking about earthquake. Let's look at earthquake insurance policy. That's assuming this is the contract. The contract look like that. Now this is the payoff table. Payoff table will show you what is the underlying variables and what is the payoff. Here we have Richter scale, damage to the house, and the payoff. Now among those three numbers, three variables, which one is the underlying variable? It's Richter scale. It's the degree of the magnitude of the earthquake. So the scale, Richter scale, from 0 up to 8.9. Now this one, if occur, you must belong to one of that number, between 0 and 8.9. Now this is the underlying variable. We call it a random variable here. Where you will be ended, it depends on what the earthquake really is. Now let's look at payoffs. The payoff is dependent on its value at that particular earthquake happened. It will be either 0 or 750 or 10,000 or 25,000, 50,000. Just give you some kind of number per play around. The 0 means there's no net damage or no compensation on that. Slightly small scale, etc. So this one, just using tables, show you the corresponding payment with the underlying asset, underlying variable, the scale variable, Richter scale variable. Now here is the payoff are in, if you looking at graphically, let's look at a graphic situation. Now, for example, the horizontal one is the underlying random variable, Richter scale, from 0 up to 9, for example. Now, the vertical line is the homeowner's payoff from the insurance policy. Okay, it can be 0, it can be 750, depending on, it can 750 the payoff is somewhere here. Okay, those number actually 10,000, 25,000, 50K. Those are the number usually people put on the vertical scale that represents where you will get. Now this is just using bar chart. Okay, now let's assuming the scale is continuous from 0 up to 8. Anytime can be 1.2, 1.5, 1.6. If the payment of that is a continuous variable, payment was a continuous number, then we will see the chart like this. Now this is the payoff from the forward or futures contract at the contract's maturity date. Here we are using X to represent the forward price or future price, or sometimes we call it exercise price. Okay? What is the underlying variable here? Let's assuming foreign currency future, for example, or current currency forward. Is the spot rate at time T. Capital T represents maturity date. small t represents current, for example, right? So capital T is, it can be 30 days, 60 days, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Now on that, let's assuming it's 90 days. On 90 days, that spot rate, let's assuming this is a British pound. The exercise price, let's assuming 1.5, okay? Let's assuming from 0 up to British pound up to, let's say, 3. 1.5 is the X, then 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, yeah, scaling up or scaling down, 1.4, 1.2. Now, you know what I mean here, right? So, and those in the, along the horizontal line is a spot rate at the maturity date. Now, what is your payoff? Payoff can only occur at one point along the horizontal line. If it occurred at 1.5, in other words, 90 days from now, the spot rate on the market on that day is exactly 1.5. Right? So you exercise contract does not really save you money or cost you money because it's basically equal to the spot rate on that day minus X. Now this is for a long position. Okay, so 1.5 minus 1.5. Our exercise price is 1.5. I'm using exercise or strike price as if they are equal. Okay, people usually just using those. You can choose any of the terminology for that. So if the spot price is 1.5 minus 1.5, you get a 0. On the other hand, if the spot price is 2, you end up somewhere up here. Exercise price 1.5 never change, but the spot price you don't know what that is. It depends on that day. Then it's if it's 2, then 2 minus 1.5, you have 0.5 somewhere here. See that 0.5, right? 2. If it's 3, even higher. On the other hand, if the exercise price is $1, the spot price is $1, then 1 minus 1.5, you have negative 1.5. You are losing money. Why? Because you have to honor this contract. You pay for it, for each pound, for 1.5. But on the market, it's only $1. You pay the extra 50 cents. Right? So you have lots position. So if we have these 2 or 3 points, negative 0.5, positive 0.5, you draw a straight line. The payoff is anything along that slope. Okay. Now this line, the slope, have an angle of 45 degrees. That means 1 to 1. The ratio is the rise is exactly equal to the run, right? So here, if you have $1 gain here, 1%, then you have 1% here. 2%, 2% here. Negative 1%, negative 1% here. So those are ratio 1 to 1. So 45 degrees. Okay, remember 45 degrees. Now those we call the long position. Why? Because you haven't exercised yet. But this showed you when you exercise it, what that look like. This is a long position. Now the right hand side, this is another contract, but it's a short position. Short positions let you sell. Right? Let you sell. Let you sell on the maturity 90 days. Let's assuming the X here is 1.5 again for the British pound. And the spot price on that maturity days anything between 0 to, let's say, 100, to infinity, as a matter of fact. So if it is on that maturity date, the spot price on that particular day is 1.5. 1.5 minus 1.5, you get a 0. So, you don't, no gain, no loss. On the other hand, if the spot price, actually the British pound appreciate from 1.5 to $2. $2. Now this is contract that you sell, right? You can sell for $2 if you don't have a contract, but now you have to execute the contract, $2. You sell a $2 British pound at the price of 1.5. You have a loss of 0.5. On the other hand, if the market price is $1, British pound devalue. So 1.5 minus 1. Now you have positive number, 0.5. Just the opposite of a long position, right? Now this is a 135 degree, also 1-on-1. Any difference between here, the rise over run are still the ratio is 1, but the slope is the opposite of long position. It's a short position. Okay, now I insert one example. This book, the Maduro's book, is not very good. They even not show you the graphic. I think I understand that it's very hard to really to give too much in one chapter of this book. So I have to put some extra material for you to work on it. Let's look at one example here. I posted that. That is the profit from a forward and the futures contract, assuming that the sterling exchange rate for a 90-day forward contract is 1.6 British pound, British sterling, $1.6. We're always using direct quote, by the way. They're always direct quote. Let's assuming the forward contract is the same. If you have a long contract, as we see on the left, if you have a long contract, what's your payoff is? Now let's look at what is the horizontal line. Horizontal line exchange rate is S capital T. S subscript T, cap T, means at the maturity date. If the exercise price or the future price, forward price here is exactly at 1.6, what is your payoff? 0. What is 1.7? 0.1. Now, what is 1.5? Here is your lose. Now here, the profit is not like a look at just one pound. You're looking at total position, because for each position there are a certain amount you type a contract, right? This is so here is the payoff, the net position for a long position. You can have a gain or can have a loss. Okay. Now here's the short position. So along the horizontal line is our random variable, the underlying asset, S cap T, from 1.4 up to 1.8. If it's 1.6 at the money, the same thing. So you don't, no gain, no loss. Now, a short position lets you sell at the predetermined forward or future price, 1.6. If the market is 1.7, you still sell 1.6. The contract still 1.6. So for each pounds, you lose 10 cents. Here, the net position 10 times 1 million, then you get 100. $1 million, you get a negative 100, right? Now, on the other hand, if the value goes down, the value of the British pound goes down from 1.6, current 1.6, going down 1.5. In that case, on the maturity, you get the 1.5. You sell British pound at 1.6. On the market, it only worth 1.5. So you have a gain of 10 cents times $1 million. You get $100,000 as your profit. So here is the short position for this contract. Here's a long position. Okay. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this also showed you this is a transaction. If one person, one party, take the long position, the guy give him or her the position, take a short position. Now, if we add these two things together, what we'll see? What we'll see is called a zero-sum game. The gain for the long position is the loss for the short position holder, vice versa. The loss, long position loss, the short position gain. So you put it together, it's a zero-sum game. So this is the forward and futures contract payoff. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, although these two contracts they have some kind of contractual specific difference, but for the time being, we treat as if they are the same. Now, let's look at options. More interesting subject, options. And now, before we move to option, let's put another words. In what situation, by the way, you will take a long position? It is when you think the foreign exchange rate will go up. You are thinking about the British pound will go up, so you take a long position. In what situation you will take a short position in forward or futures contract? If you think the price will go down, because you always the motivation is profit here, isn't it? Right? Now, the same thing is true. There are options. The options have two types. One is called a call, which lets you buy, give you the right to buy at a certain price. The other one is called a put. It's give you the right to sell. Okay? Now, the options, there are two type options. One called a European option, which can be only exercised at the end of its life, at the maturity. And the other type of you can exercise anytime called American option. But most options traded in the United States are European options. American options. They can be exercised before maturity, but not like a S&P 500 index futures, index options. Those are European options. You cannot be exercised at the maturity. But majority are American, early accessible. So, as I say that in option, in derivative security, we use the word long or short because the buy or sell transaction haven't finished yet. So as far as the position goes, you can take a long position, or you long a call, or long a put. Long a put, it lets you sell at the price. And the opposite, you short a call or short a put. Now this is pretty confusing. For those beginners, I want your concentration only on the long part. Study the call and the put only from the long position. Let's, for the time being, do not pay too much attention to short position or call. Why? Here's a summary for those four positions. The type of options for buyer. The buyer, the person take a long position. If the call option, it give you the right, but not the obligation to buy. Very neat. Only you find advantages to you exercise. That's for the call option holders. if you take a long position. For a put option holders, you take a long position in a put. If you give you the right to sell, not obligation. On the other hand, for the person who take a short position, the seller, he's a sitting duck. For seller, the payoff is the potential obligation to sell. Who decide to exercise is the buyer, the long, the call. So the guy is sitting duck. Only when the call, let's think about stock options, in the money is higher than exercise price, people will exercise the option. The same is true is the sales option. The only have the obligation for the seller, but not for the buyer. All right. Then when people say that, wow, it's too good to be true, isn't it? Because the payoff of an option are always benefit the payoff. Okay, I'm not saying it's only when it is beneficiary to the long position holders. Then we should take an option. Why we take a forward position, a call position much better. Now let me just jump and show you what that is true. Now, in a forward contract, the payoff S minus X, ST minus X. So you have, here is, you have the right to exercise, you have the profit, but you also have the downside. If ST is less than X, you're losing money. But for call, the payoff, mathematically, we say for the call price at the core value of the maturity equal to maximum ST minus X or 0. I put a 0 is a floor. You never have any possible for loss. Why? Because the contract showed you. The contract showed you that you put a floor on the payoffs. So compare a call option with a forward contract. For the long position holder, in forward contract, you have the right but also obligation, but in long position in call, you have the right, not obligation, not the obligation. Who took the downside risk? The guy sell it to you. See that? This is the short position. But that's why I say that now you study the long position only. And in real trading, I don't think beginners should never touch any short position because the only chances is the loss. But say, wow, why people take a short position? Because it seems the payoff are always negative. Now the other side of the coin option, as if you sell, you receive a premium up front. In options, unlike a forward contract, you pay this contract up front. So the short seller of a call option will pocket whatever the option payoff if it's below exercise price. You walk away, pocket the premium. An insurance company are always think of the payoff look like a payoff, like a put option. An insurance contract usually can be analyzed using the put option to do it. Think about you buy a car. The car is $50,000. a Tesla Model Y. You just get your car and get out. You pay the insurance. Leave the parking lot, you total the car, the value drop to zero. The insurance company will come up with $50,000. So this is payoff. Well, insurance, why do that? But as you know, insurance premium has to be paid up front, right? In most cases, people don't have accident. If the so in that case, the insurance company pocket the premium. Those are profit. Those are revenue source, right? So this is the payoff. If you get an accident, then you have the insurance have to pay you. If you don't have accident, insurance pocket. Now this is the payoff at the maturity for the option. It only shows you the payoff. In real world, there are premium or option price involved. So in that case, for example, let's look at, I'm using some kind of easy slides here, stock option. Here is a European option, stock option. You buy stock call option, you're betting on the stock will go up. So exercise price $5. I'm sorry, the option price $5. The strike price, or sometimes we call exercise price, is $100. That's assuming this is an European option. Okay, at the maturity date, the stock price in the line variable, right, is a random variable. If the exercise price, or if the stock price on that maturity date, let's say a year from now, is $100, exactly like the exercise price. Would you exercise your option? Oh, I don't care. Because you buy is 100 at the market. If you exercise option, you buy at 100. You can walk away. You don't have to buy it. But don't forget, you paid $5 for this contract. Now, per contract is 100 stocks. Okay, so $5 for this contract. So you see that you always, no matter if the out of money, when the stock price is below the exercise price, we call it out of money. This option has no value at the maturity. But you walk away as a long position, you walk away, but you already paid $5. The benefit is you don't pay more. Your loss is limited by the floor you set, by the $5 premium you pay. But the gain, look at the gain. Now, if it's 120, the stock price at the maturity is 120. You buy the 120 stock, you pay only 100 exercise price, right? So S minus X is equal to 10. You have a gain of $10. You give a gain of $10 somewhere, $10 here, right? $10 here. So if it's 130, you're always going up. Now this one showed you as the net included its premium as a payoff. So where's the break-even point? Break-even point for the long position will be exercise price here is 100 plus call premium 15. In other words, the break point is 105, break-even point. Anything above break-even point, you're making money. Now, if the question asks you when you will exercise, as long as it is higher than the 100, for example, if the exercise price is 101, do you exercise? Yes. Okay, because you can make a profit. You on the market is 101. You pay the 100. You make $1. That $1 is a profit. However, the $1 does not cover your total cost, but reduce your cost to 5 to 4. So anything exercise when the underlying stock price is higher than exercise price. But if it profit not, it depends on break-even point. This is for a long position of a call. Now short the call. This short the call is either sitting. If you take short position, you receive $5 upfront. Right? Usually, you think it will not go up, but if it's go up, then you have to pay. Come up with there is your loss. Now this is for short position. Now, if I add both together, it's zero-sum game. It's zero-sum game. One person's gain is another person's loss. Let's study a little bit more further on the put, the long position. If call option you want long or you want to buy, is you think stock price will go up. If a put option usually think stock price will go down, so you will put, right? Or you buy put option, exchange rate, you think the exchange rate will depreciate, will go down. Did I mention that earlier that you have to go with the direct quote? Otherwise, everything's in trouble, okay? Now, thinking about this is the price, direct quote, foreign exchange price, okay? Oh, here is also stock price, look like. Exercise price 70, premium, the put premium is $7, right? $7. So at the maturity date, the stock price is 70, is 0. If stock price is 80, would this long put be exercised? The answer is no, because in our formula, put option is to maximize X minus S or 0. Let me see where I did put my notation here. Here we go. So for put, for put here option. Oh, here, okay, for put option. Is the maximum X minus S is the opposite of call, okay? So if this positive, you exercise, right? That means if the stock price is below exercise, you exercise. Otherwise, you walk away. So let's look at this long put. Since you have some information or analysis that you believe that stock will go down, you put a floor to it. This is one of the stock insurance using you betting on stock index. You buy a insurance for your portfolio. This is one of the portfolio insurance strategy. So your betting will go down. So if it's go up, you don't exercise. If it go down, you put a floor on it. The value of your portfolio, the value of your stock portfolio will not go down. Why? It'll be offset by the insurance take, the put value. So 70 minus 60 will give you $10. If the stock price dropped to 50, 70 minus 50, you give you $20. If the price go up, no, you don't exercise, right? You only exercise when it's benefit to you. You have the right, not obligation, okay? So when you will exercise, as long as the stock price is below 70, right? If it's not 69, you exercise it because you can sell for 70s for a stock has a market value 69. It's X minus S. Now, what is the break-even point? You have a profit. Here is X strike price minus put price. 70 minus 7 equal to 63. So anything along that one. All right. So this one is long put. The short put is the person basically is sitting up. He received the money, $7 up front. If he think the price is not going down, he betting against you. So he so collect the money. But if this for some reason stock price goes down, he have give up the stock if he has the stock at a loss in his put position. Okay, now this is the net position. We here is only the payoff at the maturity. Ignore the premium. But in many the textbook, as a later we'll study, look at CME guide. Also, they look at the net position. So here is the payoff at maturity. If you add the premium you pay, so it's minus, let's say $1 up to the exercise price. You take the slope going up 45 degrees. So you draw a line along this. The pivotal point is the underneath the exercise price by the premium, then going up parallel. Okay. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We're going to looking at some real case. Give you it's more interesting than looking at those charts. Okay.